Well, today's topic is why you shouldn't work on your own personal brand. And I want to share some thoughts and examples that we can turn into an article and all of us can practically apply for our clients, for ourselves, and other people that we work with. So recently, we've had some people attempt to work on my personal brand. And these are not bad people. These are great VAs. They're well-meaning. They want to do good work. They've gone through some training. They've maybe had a little bit of work experience, a little bit in digital marketing, but they've struggled to be able to do much with my personal brand. Meaning we have this document called the Personal Brand Manager, and they don't know what it is. They don't know who the different people are that are involved. They don't know the words that we're using. They don't understand the concepts. They don't even follow me on Facebook. So it's not that they're bad people, but they don't know well enough to be able to represent me when it comes to personal branding. So here's what we need to know. So if you look at my personal brand and the brand of anyone else out there, depending on how sophisticated there could be a lot of content. And in my case, we've collected a lot of content over the last few years, and we've processed it through these 4 stages. A lot of it has been myself doing it because we practice, learn, do, teach. So if I want to tell other people, it takes 15 minutes to take a raw video and process it, script, and post it to a web page, then I should be able to show that I've done that many times myself over and over again. I can't just assign something that I've never done before. And if I'm going to give advice on how do you speak on TV, or how do you speak at a conference, or how do you teach, or how do you run a Facebook ad, then I need to have that expertise myself, which again would violate learn, do, teach if I've never done it myself. It's like a fat person trying to give weight loss advice. It's not that their advice isn't good. It's probably good advice, but they're not implementing it themselves, so they're not credible, or they're repeating what someone else said. So you can see that personal branding is largely about your network, and the network that you have produces content, and that content that is organized by expertise that you have can be organized into these different topics. So the idea of a topic wheel allows us, as you know, to organize who you know, which is your network, with what you know, which is your expertise. Some people start from the inside out, which is, if you're an introvert, you might say, what are the topics I care about? And then associate that with people. If you're an extrovert, you might start with the people that you know and map that to the expertise. But either way, inside out, outside in, this is how you establish a strong personal brand. So the thesis of today's discussion is you don't work on your own personal brand. Somebody needs to mute. I think maybe it's Florian. Now I have to stop and figure out who it is. Where's the sound coming from?
Fahad, please mute your microphone.
So your personal brand, as you can see, is not even what you say about yourself, but it's what other people are saying about you, whether it's co-created or not, across all these other channels. And you'll never individually, even if you make 100 pieces of content per day, be able to outperform what your network can do for you. And so people think that, well, if I'm going to build my personal brand, then I need to constantly be talking about my accomplishments, talking about what I do, because you want to tell people what you do. If you don't tell them what you do, you can't hire them, you can't drive leads, you can't grow your business, you can't grow partnerships and all that. And that seems like it would make sense, but it's absolutely not true, because people in general, it's kind of a bleak thing to say, they're selfish. They care about themselves. They care about what you can do for them and their family, not about necessarily what you do. So I wrote an article, and it's actually on Influensive, which is the #1 site for influencers, which I think is kind of funny. Oops. And I said, why I am not an influencer. And I interviewed Michael Stelzner, who is the founder of Social Media Marketing World. And I asked some quotes for him. And basically says, if other people vouch for you, if other people are talking about you, then collect all of it and share that out so people understand, because there's more credibility when people hear from Michael Stelzner versus like what I might say about myself. I think I mentioned Mark Lack in here as well. And I think there should be one on, why, if our article distribution process is working, why I don't work on my own personal brand. The way I found articles is I just literally Google for it. Because if we've done a proper job in putting stuff out there, then it should show up, right? Building personal brands for local businesses. These are the personal brands on StuKids, related questions. So there's 3 or 4 reasons why you shouldn't work on your own personal brand. One is if you talk about yourself, you're a douchebag. Number 2 is that there's a lot of work that's processing content as part of the content factory that really is not worth your time. So when we look at these 4 stages in the content factory, you as the figurehead can produce this content. And that's the highest value use of your time, which is relationships, traveling. Jacob's helping produce this content, which is great. But the processing shouldn't be done by you, because if you don't have a VA, guess who the VA is? It's you, right? Publishing can be done by somebody else, but if they're going to write under your name, they better not have any grammatical problems. They better understand the different people that are in your network. They need to understand what themes are important. They have to understand who's important. There's a lot of things that, and then the last part, to be able to promote, they have to know your audience. So they have to know your goals, content, and targeting. So in this case, the goal is we want to create the 1 million jobs. The content is all the training that helps us achieve that goal of creating the jobs, whether it's the specialists or the VAs, right? The waiters or the cooks. And the target is anyone who wants to participate in this ecosystem. They want to get a job. They want to hire one of the VAs that's been trained in our system. So if you don't understand the structure of my personal brand, you can't work on my personal brand, right? If you don't know who Grant Cardone or George Leith or Newton Lee or Karen Freeberg, if you don't know who these other people are, there's no way you're going to be able to work on my brand, even if you're really good at Photoshop. You're really good at some video editing tool, Premiere Pro or whatnot. And that's the problem that I've seen over many years, is that people will hire a VA saying, well, I've got this folder of all of my speaking and articles and archives of all this stuff. But then they wonder why, when that VA starts mindlessly editing and applying templates and doing the thing that in their mind seems to make sense. Remember, they don't know who you are. They don't understand what you care about. They don't know what your mission is, right? And so this causes a very obvious kind of problem. It's a violation of learn to teach. You can't teach someone something you haven't done yourself many times. But even in our company today, and in your companies as well, we see the same issue. So I could look at my friend John Jonas. John Jonas just published a great article. And I love showing live examples. So it's not just like rhetorical kind of, postulating. So John Jonas and I are eating food. There's his indoor pool. He's got an outdoor pool too. Not supposed to take pictures of his house and all that because it's so big, because people in the Philippines might be discouraged when they see what a nice life he has. But we are making videos. We are talking about all kinds of stuff. And he can talk credibly about VAs because he's the founder of onlinejobs.ph. He's hired so many VAs. He's been doing this for many years. He has 2 million VAs on onlinejobs.ph. So it certainly makes sense. Now, I know something about VAs too, because we have all kinds of training. We've hired tons of VAs as well. But if I want to increase my authority in a particular area, like hiring in the Philippines, well, it doesn't really get any better than John Jonas. If I want to say something about PPC, I've spent $1 billion on PPC, but Larry Kim, and this is not name dropping. I want to show you how we are doing this intentionally. Larry Kim and I got him on Clubhouse too. He started from nothing and helped him grow to like 20,000 followers because he saw I was getting big on Clubhouse. See, look, I said, hey, congrats, you had 10,000. Clubhouse died, of course. You can see how many times Larry, Kim, and I've opened the room and I invite Larry in, and that way I basically just interview Larry and I put him in the top spots. That way all these people follow him and I keep shouting him out. But you can see Larry's got a pair of socks. That's pretty nice. Now, who's building whose brand here? Because we're talking about why you shouldn't work on your own personal brand. Why wouldn't I give Larry a pair of Dennis socks? Why is it better to give Larry a pair of Larry socks? Because people care about themselves and you always want to meet them where they are. So I've interviewed him. He's interviewed me. We've spoken at lots of conferences together. He even won the PPC Market of the Year. He's wearing this crown, makes him look real girly. He's the founder of WordStream. He has 2% of Google's global ad spend. That's a lot of money. 2% of Facebook's global ad spend. And there's all kinds of pictures and videos of me and him and all this. And if you look at who he's also, and I don't know if it's still true, but he was the most followed person on LinkedIn, ahead of President Obama, if you can believe that. That's pretty good. So he carries some authority when it comes to online marketing, which is an understatement. And Larry and I have done all kinds of stuff over the years. I'm not saying this to boast. I'm saying I'm not working on my personal brand. By being with Larry and elevating Larry, that grows my personal brand. By being with Neil Patel or whoever, these other people, Karen Freeberg, that's growing my brand. So if it's a true thing, I want to reach universities, right? And we have a program for current college students and professors to be able to start agencies. And Karen and I are talking about how we've done that at the University of Louisville, and we've done it at lots of other universities. Who carries more authority? Me saying this? I've run an agency. I know a lot about this agency stuff. Look, I even took Karen to Facebook. She'd never been to Facebook before. And she flew in to San Francisco, and we spent a few days touring LinkedIn's headquarters. I think we went to, I think maybe we stopped at Twitter, we stopped at Facebook, introduced her to a lot of friends. It was a great experience. And it's way better than me saying, hey, I'm going to create a lot of jobs by hiring young adults that are still in college because I have this amazing program where a lot of people are making a lot of money. Or it's Dr. Freeberg and she's talking about this. She is talking about our program. She's talking about the students that have gone through this. It's way more powerful. It's way more powerful to Jacob to talk about his situation than me to try to put words in his mouth. Because someone else who's a 23-year-old recent college grad is going to listen to what Jacob has to say over me. I'm just some old dude who's 30 years older, right? Or not 30 years older, but older, right? So your credibility comes from whoever is most relevant, not necessarily who the highest authority person is. So you might see stuff with me and Brad Lee. You don't know who Brad Lee is? Then it doesn't matter to you, but maybe you know who one of these other people are. So my whole brand is built upon co-created content with these other people, and I'm actively managing these relationships. It's not just I meet them, whatever, every 3 years. I take a photo at the conference and they don't know who I am. I know who these people are. We hung out. Some of them we've been in some intimate moments, right? And those tie to topics. So Dr. Karen Freeberg is probably the top educator among college professors on social media, PR, and public relations. She's got the best-selling book. She speaks at all the conferences, blah, blah, blah. And so she's constantly saying great things about me, not because I bought her gifts and things like that, but because we believe in the same thing. She became a teacher, not because she wanted to make money, but because she really believed in this. And I wrote an article about her. I explicitly did this. And I did this a few years ago. I believe teaching's the highest level profession we can have. And that's not just some teachers are our future and they're training our leaders. No, I'm saying we are all teachers, not formally. Jacob's a teacher because when you've done something, you have an obligation to teach other people. It doesn't mean you're in a classroom, but we are all learning, doing, and teaching. And there's lots of examples of this. And there's lots of examples of, so they started this thing called the Bird's Nest. And this Bird's Nest student agency has won some awards because Dr. Karen's in charge. It's like cheating. And they have a board of advisors. Well, guess who's on their board of advisors? Now I'm connected to all these other people that are part of this board of advisors group. And I know these other amazing ladies. And we're helping replicate this across all these other universities. So what am I doing to promote my personal brand? Nothing. I'm just helping this agency grow. I want to see these young adults, as they hire up more people, be able to grow. Am I working on my personal brand? No, because the content is created by someone else. Am I processing this content myself? No, only to show that I can inside Descript. So the whole model of personal branding, which is look at me and I'm so important and all this, doesn't matter if your why is clear, which at a certain point goes beyond, I want to make enough money to do these things for myself. Now I want to give back. I want to help other people who also have Crohn's disease, or, whatever it might be. I want to help children in this particular situation. You want to give back. That's going to tie to the topics you have. That will naturally connect you with other people that are authoritative in those things, where you are co-creating content, not because you're trying to leverage that the guy was the CEO of American Airlines, but because you actually believe that, for example, Al and I believe that travel is how we democratize the world, because when you meet people for the first time, you get a real sense of how they are, instead of just like whatever the media tells you. I'm not left or right or whatever it is, but people have an idea of Pakistan. They think of like bombs and, evil people and desert and all that. Like, here we're hanging out, having a good time, staying at people's houses, super friendly, just tons and tons of stuff in Pakistan. Look, I'm with Sunny Ali. He's like the father of e-commerce here. He's done some crazy billions of dollars. And look, this guy is Aslam. He's the one who organized that conference, which 30,000 people came to. This guy in the middle runs a series of universities in Lahore, which is kind of it's kind of like their New York City, if you will. And he owns restaurants, and he owns like all these other things too. That's what happens. These people own lots of businesses. Spoke at this college, and they had my face and Rihan's face, right? And you can see what it's like in Pakistan. Just tons and tons of stuff in Pakistan. I've been to Pakistan many times. There's me and Rihan. Rihan is probably the second, third most famous person in the country. And my personal brand's growing because of him.
They want a servant to clean the office. They want someone to, make your tea. And if you open an office, there's like an administration cost. Absolutely.
No, it's like a minimum number you need to have.
Yeah. So
The reps house is virtual.
So we're talking about stuff, just random stuff in the middle of the night. We're just making little videos, and I'm elevating him.
Let me connect you also with Rihan.
I'm connecting people. It's showing up on my phone. Let's see, so this is the leader of the current political party that Rihan happens to be friends with. We're hanging out with this guy. Like, how cool would it be to be with? It's probably not a great example, but Kamala Harris or something. That's the equivalent, right? And this guy's the #1 SEO digital marketing guy, and he considers me his mentor. How cool is that? And this guy is seen as the boss when it comes to digital marketing, SEO, and whatnot. And he had me come and teach at his class, and all these people came. This guy he's got some crazy number of video views.
This sweet noodles cooked in milk with some herbs like saffron.
Sweet noodles cooked in milk with herbs like saffron. This dude has helped, I want to say 300,000 people start small businesses, home-based businesses that literally you can start a factory for under $100 that manufactures all kinds of weird stuff, but that's what happens. And we're receiving awards. This is the Tony Robbins of Pakistan. It's Qasim Ali Shah. He's got millions of followers, all the books, all the video, all the stuff you'd expect. He's the Pakistan version of that, right? And you can see he and I are hanging out. Look, there's Rihan who's speaking. Anyway, this goes on and on and on. So we're hanging out with the top people in the country. This is the girl who runs Extreme Commerce in Lahore. These kids are famous. They're celebrities for their drumming. Check this out. I can't say their names. up. Rehan and I are there. I think Mark's there. We're like jamming out to the music. It's like 2 a.m. They're making chai lattes. They do this for the dignitaries of other countries. They gave us these hats. I thought that was funny. There's this midget guy. This guy's hilarious. Look at this midget guy. This is a barbecue in Pakistan where it's kind of like a Texas barbecue, but the spices are different. It's like way spicier. Like Indian spicy, but Pakistani. It's like the poorer they are, the more spice there is. But this midget guy's owned this restaurant forever. And I said, come over here. Come over here. I want to take a picture. And I'm sharing these experiences. So I'm not broad brushing by saying, you know, Pakistan, look, this is one of my guards. I had 2 armed guards, finger on the trigger, protecting me. I'm walking with a posse everywhere where I go. I got 2 guys with machine guns. I have a videographer. I have a personal assistant who's project managing all the meetings. This is a Muslim country. You figure this shit's dangerous, right? This guy here is the 2nd biggest entrepreneur in the country. And he and I are chatting for quite some time. I think we have like a 20-minute interview here, 20-minute interview. And I'm asking him, hey, what can we, or he's asking me, what can we do together? Remember, it's a shared vision. And he says, I want to create more jobs. I've got 1.3 million students across 17 campuses. I want to create more jobs. We're doing stuff with the government. The government's giving us money. We're constructing campuses. We're teaching them how to do Amazon and how to build websites. And I'm telling them, dude, this is so impressive what you're doing. And we took a tour of one of his offices. This was the headquarters office.
We
Let's see. You know what? Let's just see. Let's play this.
in enablers, about the same size as Sunny Ali. So we were with Sunny a little bit earlier.
Sonny's the competitor. This is like the McDonald's and Burger King. I thought maybe he'd laugh, but actually these 2 guys hate each other, even though they should be friends.
And I want my American friends. So you guys out there that are service businesses, real estate agents, dentists, chiropractors, garage door repair, attorneys, all you guys in the US that are struggling with your marketing, struggling with operations, struggling with being able to scale your business, Fiverr, to understand.
Do I talk too much?
So this is
Let's hear what he has to say. Then he talks about how he's grown this
and
thing.
they be the job provider. So this culture actually, which started almost a few years ago, has picked up the trend where we have seen, as you just said, we are 1.2 million people. We've seen the people where almost 10.
He's got 1.3 million students in his program. Can you even imagine that? It's crazy.
15,000 people joining per day in our group. And almost 2,000 to 3,000 questions actually being asked per day into this group because they've been getting free help and support, where every question is actually being getting answered in 60 seconds. As there's a pros behind it who's working on this. We're spending almost 1 million Pakistani rupees a month to just answer these questions.
$2,000.
Yeah, exactly. Just to answer.
Oh, sorry, is it 5,000? Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, whatever obviously the rate is now.
200 to 1.
So we go on and on about how he's creating jobs. And then towards the end of it, we say, you know what, we should partner. And we sign a memorandum of understanding about how we are co-creating training together. And all the training we've created, he has a team of people that are going to translate it into Urdu, which is the language they have over there, right? So what does he do? He takes the content that we've been creating together, and then he posts it to Facebook and Instagram, to his YouTubes, to all these places. So now these 1.3 million students know about me. And now I'm sharing about him to all of our audiences here. You see, there's a whole tour. Rehan is here. This guy is the equivalent of basically like runs Shark Tank, if you will, in Pakistan. So they give out money. He's like the Mark Cuban. He gives out money to these startups that all come in and pitch, and it's professionally done. It's just as good as US TV, if you see what they've done. They have almost the same population as the United States. There's us hanging out with these leaders in the government. Oh, you can see that there's all that. This guy owns the largest chain of hotels in the country. Not Lemon Lodge, it's the name of it. We get a tour of the thing. This is because Rehan's connected. Rihan knows everybody. Like he's like known for knowing everybody. It's ridiculous. Like you would never want to cross this guy. This guy's a billionaire. He started all the importing of like potato chips and tobacco and whatnot into the country. So these guys make a lot of money. But that doesn't matter. Like we're just having fun. We're touring his garden, eating. He has all these servants that come out and bring all this food, which is really cool. We're staying at the nicest hotel in the country. We're dipping our toes in the water. There's this bridge which is super sketch, and it's all rickety. And I'm kind of fat. I weighed a lot more a few months ago, and look, like literally, if this board breaks, it's like 300 feet down. You're dead, right? But I'm exploring the country, and I'm learning that we're actually in Kashmir. Kashmir is supposed to be this war-torn strife area we're not supposed to go. But it's beautiful. It's like the Swiss Alps. They have these mountains with snow on them. They have these people that make like this dude here. So Rihan interviews this dude. So this dude at the side of the road, I love corn. So you can see he's taking these corns and roasting them in this thing, in this cart that he pulls. And Rihan says, "Hey, bro, how much money do you make?" He says, "Oh, maybe like $200 a month." Shit, that's amazing. Because most people are making like $80, $90 a month, but he chose this part that everyone has to go through, this main road that people have to go through if they're going to go into Kashmir. So if you're going to go into Kashmir, which is that disputed territory between India and Pakistan, where all like bombs and missiles are supposedly happening. I never saw any of that, but he's in that spot. So he's an entrepreneur, and he's selling corn, and he's making $7 a day. So we collected his story about how he's making $7 a day with his little thing. And does he have an education? No, but every day he gets his corn, he wheels his thing down that has his little portable grill oven thing going on. And there's more and more people that are learning how to do this. Look, this one dude has a whole bunch of these goats. And I thought, hey, stop. I had a personal driver.
Is your digital marketing bad? Let me help you out.
I got Rihan behind me. They think that's funny. And this is all B-roll that we can just reuse. So, I have my driver. Let's see if we can see him. This driver has an iPhone, has the new iPhone. I'm thinking, bro, how did you get the new iPhone? I know you make like $150 a month. So you must have saved up for a whole year and lived at home to be able to do that. Yeah, this is our guy who's a driver. Our salon, this guy, he works at RepStack. He also like takes checks to the bank and does all this other stuff. But he was my personal driver for a week. Drove me around to anywhere I wanted to go. I wanted to go to the mountains. I want to go to the Capitol and take pictures in front of these huge temples. And so this guy was explaining to me what he does and how he's got the new iPhone. Yeah, he also manages some of these Jesse's Burger. I think they have like 7 or 8 of these. It's like their burger chain. The RepStack folks own, and these guys, they for some reason they have their service business, but they also own these restaurants and hotels. And like, for some reason, that's what they do over there. Okay. This is with the Minister of IT, this guy on the left. You can tell he's so polished. He would snap his fingers and a servant would run in. He would never do anything. A servant would come in and turn the TV on. He didn't know how to turn the TV on. A servant would open a web browser. The servant would bring in because they brought out these. They always bring in chai. That's like the thing. When you have a meeting, they bring the chai, which is like it's like a tea, coffee sort of thing. And then they bring in these biscuits, and those biscuits were so good. I said, "Damn, these biscuits are good." He snapped his fingers. The servant just comes like. The servant must be like on the other side of this door waiting anytime, like whatever. He's just like not doing anything but waiting. And just bring him more biscuits. And so Rihan is showing this guy how to set up a Facebook profile and creates a group on the spot. And like 5,000 people join the group, right? How to learn from so-and-so to become like a minister of IT. This guy is a billionaire. I interviewed him on my podcast. He made his money in tech, kind of like Rihan did. There's Mark Wagner who came along. I said, "You want to come to Pakistan?" Hell yeah. So he came along. But you can see, you got an office tour. I interviewed these guys. This guy runs the National Incubation Center. And they have all these centers that the government is putting money into all over the country because they're trying to build entrepreneurship, the number one export now is tech, is people on Fiverr and Upwork and that kind of thing. So I'm building these relationships. And I was able to agree that Rihan actually was able to convince this guy Can you imagine like a cabinet level person in Joe Biden's office? Like that's what we're talking about here. Like in charge of the internet, in charge of getting everyone's cell phones, in charge of whatever kinds of standards there are. He didn't want anything recorded because we were having these discussions about the country and whatever. But he did let us take some pictures at least, which is cool, right? This is Yawar, who runs RepStack. And I had Rihan interview him. Rihan goes live and millions of people see it. That's kind of what happens. It's the Rihan effect. Here I'm giving a talk about the future of digital marketing in front of all our Pakistani friends. But here's what's going on. I'm not building my personal brand. I'm sharing, I'm giving, I'm connecting with these other people. So the exercise for you is, if you haven't already, what are those topics that you care about? And maybe you say you care about digital marketing or mentorship or whatever. Do you credibly have these other people that are doing it? These other people are doing your personal brand. And if these other people don't honor and believe in what you do first, no amount of skill in digital marketing is going to matter. That's what people understand. That's the full theme circle of what I want to show you guys here. And we struggle with this too. Can you imagine working at Apple and someone comes up to you and asks, hey, Jacob, can you tell me about the iPhone? And he says, what's an iPhone? How would you feel about that?
That would be awful.
But that's what we have going on. We have people on our team who don't even know what a lighthouse is, who don't even know what the dollar-a-day strategy is, who don't know like the things that we teach. So if you have people who are working on your brand, and when I say working on your brand, I mean your company brand, your personal brand, your clients' brands, everything's branding, right? Trying to drive leads to IV therapy, like that's branding. All marketing is branding except for spam. Spam has no brand. But they need to first, before I don't care how good they are at WordPress or SEO or whatever, they have to first understand the brand, which means the goals, content, and targeting. And this is something I'm saying, out of just frustration, because it's a very recent thing that happened today and ongoing, but I want all you guys to avoid the pain that we've had from people that don't believe in the brand. Eventually, when like we got chewed out for this yesterday in our Daryl Isaacs thing, we had people that were just willy-nilly posting on these attorney channels, and they didn't understand that Daryl and his father Sheldon started Isaacs and Isaacs 30 years ago. And there's a whole mission behind that. It wasn't just like these two guys and started a law firm. No, there was a whole deeper story. And so they were just willy-nilly posting stuff. It had grammatical errors, it was poorly written and all that. And it wasn't because of the grammatical errors. The grammatical errors were just symptomatic of the fact that the people working on Daryl Isaacs don't care about Daryl Isaacs. It just shows through. It's not that we're using Grammarly or ChatGPT to correct grammar or rewrite something into actual sentences on our location service pages. It's that whoever is working on those location service pages doesn't give a damn about Daryl Isaacs. No matter how much we talk about Daryl Isaacs and how he's the hammer and he wants to get back and how he had this accident in 2015 that he nearly died and said if he could walk again, because the doctor said he couldn't, if he walked again, he would dedicate his life to helping other people. And the way he runs his company, whoever was working on those pages that generated the garbage, they don't know about Daryl Isaacs. They don't care about Daryl Isaacs. And then when Daryl called me up 2 weeks ago, and I don't want to say he'd shoot me out, but he basically told me, dude, you and I are good friends, but you got to improve your quality, right? Like we just need to up our level here, right? And I need people who are on it, and we just can't afford these sorts of mistakes. And he said it in a nice way. He said it in a much nicer way than I could have said it, but that's basically what he said. And so when you see me saying things like, hey, let's follow, learn, do, teach, it's not because I'm mad. It's not because I'm trying to be critical. It's that the people working on the brand think, well, I just need to, work on my Photoshop skills, Adobe Illustrator. I'm just a designer. All I do is I change logos and fonts and superficial aesthetic kinds of things. No, the number one thing is you understand the brand. You always start with goals, content, and targeting. We have an issue with an engineer who keeps making all these mistakes because he refuses to understand goals, content, and targeting. So that is why To sum it up, you should never work on your own personal brand because it's what other people have to say about you. If you have a clear mission that ties into topics that attracts the right people into your life, these other people will be bigger than you. These other people will have connections and angles that you don't have because they have that kind of authority. And when you have a common mission like us in creating jobs, these other people want to work with you. And wouldn't you agree that with a Dr. Karen Freeberg, the quality of what we're doing is way better than if I were to pay her $100 an hour, right? Dr. Karen Freeberg advises us. And she's a busy woman doing lots of things, creating curriculums and teaching all these professors. Why would she want to spend time with us? I couldn't even pay her enough money. Why would Daryl Isaacs want to spend time with us? Well, because I guess we'll roll his law firm, but that's not what it is. It's because we share a common belief. And that common belief eventually bubbles up into content that's so real, high quality, and authentic. You can't fake that. An hour ago, we just did an interview with Aniko. Jacob filmed it, and we talked about Aniko's story. She had stage 4 pancreatic cancer, told she had 5 to 6 months to live because of the way the cancer was, and that was 14 years ago, and she's doing well. And because of her story and how this really is meaningful to her, Cocoon in Las Vegas is growing. Cocoon in Singapore is growing because of people there who've had a different experience. Cocoon in Kuala Lumpur, in Malaysia, in London, in Germany, in France, in the 7 centers in Hungary, and all these other places, they're growing because people who have gone through some crazy illness themselves want to help other people overcome that challenge. It doesn't mean you had to have stage 4 cancer to then be able to run a medical facility, but I would challenge anybody if they've never had a life challenge. They're probably like 12 years old then, right? Like an 18-year-old life coach kind of thing. But all of us that are old enough have had some sort of challenge which caused us to research something or learn about something, gain some kind of expertise so that we can then help other people. So our personal brands is not like, look at me, I'm famous, I'm speaking in front of 30,000 people. It's I'm trying to help other people. And I want to help them. Who else wants to, excuse me, help people overcome this particular kind of problem? And when you see it as you are a surgeon and you're helping as many people as you can, you're not a salesperson. You're the emergency room surgeon, which is completely different than half off if you buy now in the next 30 minutes or all that kind of sales, FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, those kind of techniques. So our way of doing branding is be clear on your why and your connections, demonstrate that you've done something yourself, and only then will the content factory work for you. It's not because we have a particular format. It's not because I was on TV or anything like that. It's because I had a clear why, and that's how I got my blue check marks 15 years ago. I had to earn my blue check marks. I earned it 15 years ago. The success that we have now is not because I have a blue check mark. It's because of those things that we've done that I got the blue check mark. Yeah, I know that some of you guys are laughing about that because you know it's true. So I want to leave it at that and ask you, what do you think? I'm very passionate about this. People are going to want to argue with me because they're going to say, no, personal branding, you need to get your message out there. You need to constantly be dialing for dollars, always be closing. Jordan Belfort, every sucker's got, who's got my money this morning? No. It's not a very good Grant Cardone impersonation, I know. What do you guys think about this? Like even Howard, right? You would think, I would have thought that like IT services, what a boring thing. But then I meet Howard and we hang out. I see how personable he is. I see how he's helping these mid-sized businesses in New York City not get, hacked into, or they got in trouble and he's having to install security. Like, oh, okay, that's actually kind of interesting. That's like these are the things with, AI and what to do to protect yourself and how not to have the government intrude on your phone or what. Well, that's kind of interesting. So when you start to know, it becomes, when you think something's boring, it really just means you're ignorant about something. It's not because the topic's not interesting, it's because you're ignorant.